Humans are weird. Let's work it out. A decisive stroke. And so is each. What was the word you used? Rolls Across asked. Oh yes, after each pass, you simply take the meaning of the existing pattern into consideration and begin the next missive from there. The ungulate dipped his appendages in the tray of water under him and then shuffled forward to demonstrate. He moved across the translucent film that was already marked with spiraling tracks. He stopped and pivoted, then gave a sideways shimmy before arching up and off the film. The new marks were rapidly darkening where he had touched the film, and the gathered students of language moved forward to watch the new words form. 3 Shatar sisters clustered together so they could touch antennas without disturbing the others. Their triangular heads tilted this way and that, and their neck frills pulsed with interest. 2 lizard folk were sniffing at the edges of the film suspiciously. Or rather, the ungulate admitted to himself, everything the stiff reptilians did looked suspicious to one of his kind. The 2 Trisk professors certainly found them flexible enough. The 8 appendaged professors were happily perched on the broad heads of the reptilians for a better view of the drawing document. A flight of winged hovered over everyone's heads, a constant cloud of movement. "Wasn't first human brother going to be here?" one of the Shatar said, twisting her head to the side and flicking her antenna at the door. "He was," another answered. "I wonder if you forgot." "Human friend Odysee is not the type to freehand engagement," one of the Trisk observed. There was a rolling trill of assent from the flight of winged overhead, and the 2 lizard folk gave one of the wide variety of grunts that indicated they had no opinion on the matter. However, the conversation was derailed by a massive thump that shook the door and the wall it was attached to. The Shatar stiffened, and their frills snapped to full extension. The winged flight swirled away from that wall before taking up a hold position facing the door, with dozens of teeth gleaming in snarls. The Trisk gripped the heads of the lizard folk as they heaved huge sighs and muttered something about lumbering mammals. Rolls Across noted that the reptilian's assessment was correct, as the human in question fell through the opening doors with a far more erratic velocity than was, strictly speaking, usual for him. He was grasping a thermal canister in one hand, which he brought up to his mouth in a mammalian hydration movement, before he righted himself and reduced his swaying to a level that humans considered still. "Oi, oi!" he greeted them in a general with a swing of his hydration canister. "Not too late, am I?" "I have just finished the first applied layer, human friend Odysee," Rolls Across said. "I am afraid you missed the explanation and the first application." "Sorry," the human said, his mouth gaping and a yawn. "I overslept. My alarm was buzzing for a solid hour before it penetrated my skull." "Did you not achieve proper sleep last night?" the Shatar the medic asked. "Not a bit of it," the human replied as he swayed closer to the 3 cousins. His feet seemed to drag along behind his center of mass as he repositioned himself in the room. "Was it a negative or a positive response?" the cousin pressed. "My babika called," he explained. "One of the cousins is acting up and over in the Geister sector, and she wanted me to let me know in case he swung through this system. We were talking for hours. You know how word babikas get." The Shatar clicked in sympathy until Rolls Across shuffled back over to the tray of water and began explaining the increased difficulty of creating meaning on the 3rd Passover document. The class fell silent and observed. Rolls Across finished the pass and invited them to examine it. There was the usual muttering until human friend Odysee suddenly failed to correct one of his forward sways and caught himself heavily on the table surface. The collected linguist stared at him curiously until the Shatar medic suddenly clicked in alarm. "Why are your irises oscillating like that?" she demanded, skittering forward to peer up into his eyes. "This writing," the human said in an odd, hollow tone. I think it's giving me a stroke." The medic's frill flushed with horror, and she grabbed his arm, clicking at him earnestly to follow her to the medical bay. The human obeyed after a moment, but seemed unable to tear his eyes away from the drying ungulate script. While the door behind them closed, one of the lizard folk reached up to paw at his eye. "That human was simply being facetious, right?" he asked. "Of course," the leader of the winged flight snapped out. "A human would not have a stroke from simply looking at a foreign script." "That is my understanding," Rolls Across agreed. There was a long moment of silence before Rolls Across firmly brought their attention back to the lesson.
Humans are weird, let's work it out. Available on Indiegogo for the month of October 2022. Monty Python meets Star Trek in this third book of human absurdity. This book joins its two siblings in a trilogy of human madness. You can find the first two books, author signed first editions, at Indiegogo with book 3, or you can go on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are available to get your copies of the first two books. Humans Are Weird, Let's Work It Out, book 3 in the series, available on Indiegogo, October 2022.